Hey everyone, welcome to JoJo's World.
Good morning.
Hey Nick.
What up?
This is our JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast, where today we are recapping and discussing the first episode of Castlevania by Netflix.com.
I'm so keen.
.au.
So keen to talk about this. Oh. So we ran out of JoJo's.
As you've heard repeatedly over the last month, we have finished JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
What a time it was.
It certainly was 4 years of our lives and 40 years of Hirohiko Araki's or whatever.
So I have a question regarding what we're doing next. Hey, Liam.
Hey Nick.
What did we just watch today?
Today we watched the first episode of the Netflix series Castlevania, available on Netflix.com.
Wow.
Or on participating apps.
Oh.
Nick, before we talk too much about Castlevania, could you do me a quick favour and open on the chest of drawers we use as our recording table, the second drawer from the top?
The second draw from What the fuck is this?
This is a package we have received, I believe, from long-time listener and correspondent Blooper Boy.
Oh my god.
Though I have not verified that, so if I'm wrong, Blooper Boy's package is still on the way, and someone else has sent us an unknown package. Nick, why don't you describe what you see there in front of you?
I see JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable, the live action make on Blu-ray.
Did you say live-action make?
Yeah, I said live action make.
Is that a real term? Or
Live action is. I don't know about live action make.
okay.
But, it's from the director of Ichi the Killer and Audition.
Takashi Miike, who of course
What?
appeared in Yakuza 6 as an old man Yakuza.
There's also from Super
Or is
Techno.
that Beat Takeshi? I get them confused. Are they the same person?
Liam, we don't have time. We have more JoJo's content. We also have. I think this is the one. This is the part 3 movie.
OVA. Which stands for egg.
Oh god. We have the 1990 something version.
Of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 Stardust Crusaders.
What the
Which, if I
fuck?
recall correctly, was produced in such an order that the battle with Dio was produced, and then afterwards they went back and made everything else.
Wow. Okay. That's weird.
Yes, so here I have the Evil Spirit, Hierophant Green, Silver Chariot, and Strength.
And then I've got The Emperor and the Hanged Man and The Judgment.
I guess there's more of it.
And it looks very similar, but very different. It looks darker.
It looks like Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. It's got that 90s anime aesthetic.
It really does. What the hell? This is amazing.
Thank you. We'll watch these at some point for the podcast.
Hell yeah, we will. Oh my god. So, why... Here's my question, right? Why did they make these as movies rather than TV shows?
Budgets? I don't know, man.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Budgets and junk?
Jotaro looks 90s as fuck here. And he looks like he's just drawn a card from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Star Platinum looks like he's actively drawing a Yu-Gi-Oh card, but he also looks hella sinister.
Oh my god, amazing. I love it. This is amazing. We have to watch these. We have to. And then there's Diamond is Unbreakable, the live action make.
From the mind of one of Japan's most celebrated filmmakers, a bizarre and beautiful ride through Hirohiko Araki's mega hit manga turned feature film. Welcome to idyllic Morio, whose ocean views and charming townscapes make it a breezy Japanese utopia. But a chain of grisly killings has cast a bloody pall of uncertainty over its residents, especially Josuke Higashikata, a high schooler with offbeat hair and even more eccentric abilities. Now, with his
Amazing.
grandfather on Morio's homicide list... Josuke must resort to his surreal stand powers if he ever hopes to heal his beloved family and town. Josuke may have a stand-wielding relative at his side, but the killer has plenty of help too. And here, if we look at the pictures, we can see, man...
We got Josuke on the left, obviously,
yep.
in his traditional offbeat hairstyle and purple jacket.
Yeah, I'm assuming this man in a police officer-looking hat is Grandpa Higashikata.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Then we've got Josuke and Jotaro,
the big J.
Josuke, and I want to say the other guy there is Koichi.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Very blatant Okuyasu.
Just with blue all around him and just a face of, hey, it's me.
Hey, Josuke, look at my shaved sideburns. Clements, I thought I told you to... He's got that haircut, you know? Clements, I thought I told you to shave those sideburns.
What do you think sideburns are? That's it, you're off the team.
I don't know who that guy in the middle bottom is.
Who's the guy that, what's his face turns into?
The guy that... What's his face?
You know, the guy...
Oh, could it be Angelo, perhaps?
Ooh, maybe it's Angelo. Ooh.
Otherwise known as Angelo.
Otherwise known as the Angelo Stone.
Yep.
And then we have a very stylized shot with a lot of pink and white lighting.
Pink sky. Not unlike the yellow sky of the manga. But also unlike the yellow sky of the manga. And I assume that's Josuke in front of the door to the Okuyasu house. So thanks. Thanks for content.
This is fucking amazing. I'm so keen. Oh my god, yes. Oh my god, yes. Wait, I'm so hyped. Fuck yes.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is not what we are here to talk about today. Today, we are going back to our roots and looking at Dracula and saying, Dracula, you're a bad boy.
Look, I get you. I know where you're coming from, but there's a better way to
Dracula
deal
was
with
the
this.
original bad boy.
Ooh. You know, fun little tidbit about original Dracula. Not at all.
Original recipe Dracula.
Yeah, not at all about sex. Completely about property.
Oh, it's a bit about sex.
I mean, a little bit. Only
It's
as
about
a tool.
like him like corrupting the women of England because he's a foreigner. Like that's very much a theme of it.
Yeah, but literally most of it is him being like, I want that property.
The actual literal events are about property.
Yeah.
But the themes are very much about sex and racism.
Themes, I get you.
Which is why I've said for so long that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 Phantom Blood is like Dracula, but it replaces the themes of racism with class mobility.
So what you're saying is it's the perfect metaphor for vampires.
Sure.
Because vampires, unlike normal humans, can move to any class they want because they have wings. And thus at university, they are far more mobile than normal humans.
Also super old.
Also really fucking old.
Have you seen the 90s Bram Stoker's Dracula starring Keanu Reeves as Jonathan Harker?
I've heard of this.
It's bonkers. You should definitely check it out. It's so over the top in everything that happens. It's positively JoJo-esque in its sensibilities.
Oh, okay. How interesting. Well, even Keanu? A man whose dulcet tones are
Keanu's character's whole thing is he's meant to be like the like boring everyman compared to the otherworldly nightmare that is Dracula. So less so with him, but with many other characters, yes.
Somewhat larger than life.
Like the character who is just a cowboy. We've talked about Dracula a lot in the Part 1 episodes of JoJo's World. Feel free to go back and listen to that for a time when I was more familiar with the text.
Good times.
Castlevania is also loosely based on Dracula.
Loose is a generous term.
I've got some notes here that I took this morning while I was waiting for you to arrive. These are largely taken from the Wikipedia and IMDb pages, but also the Castlevania wiki pages.
Oh, as in the game Castlevania or...
Both.
Both?
The series is based on the events which occurred in Wallachia in 1476, as told in Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, a video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, where Trevor Belmont is the main protagonist. My dad's name is Trevor.
Is it?
Yeah.
I knew that.
It was published by Konami in Japan in 1989 and North America in 1990. In Europe, it was published by Palcom Software in 1992.
Thrilling. But tell me more
Now
about...
you know the rest of the story.
Then they made an anime and we don't need to go any further.
No, I've got some notes here on the actual like design and thought that went into the creative element of the Castlevania games.
Okay. Specifically 3 or all of them?
This is more of a broad overview, but I get more specific towards the end.
Okay. All right, here we go.
The Castlevania franchise, rather than being specifically a Dracula thing, although he is obviously the main focus of a lot of it, is heavily inspired by the horror movies produced by Universal and Hammer Studios.
Okay.
So that's your Frankenstein, your Wolfman, your Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
I see.
Dracula. I think it was Christopher Lee who played Dracula in those ones, though I could be mistaken.
Good times.
I think they may have also done The Invisible Man. So basically what I'm saying is, although it not literally is, Castlevania is another take on the Dark Universe. Of course you're familiar with the Dark Universe, Nick. The failed attempt at a cinematic universe created by Universal, where the Universal monsters would be depicted as heroes of a sort, coming together to fight other evil. First it was launched with Dracula Untold. That was a huge failure. So then it was relaunched with a photograph of people like Russell Crowe, Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise, clearly all photoshopped and not standing in the same room.
Okay.
Saying, welcome to the Dark Universe. Then they made The Mummy starring Tom Cruise and it sucked, so they canned the whole thing again.
Nice.
Love the Dark Universe, it's so good.
Hang on, is this a real thing that happened?
Yeah.
Like, legit?
The Dark Universe.
This sounds too good to be true.
Just Google Dark Universe photo.
Dark Universe photo.
Russell Crowe, of course, played Dr. Jekyll, the head of Prometheum, a monster hunting organisation. But if he didn't take his special tonic frequently enough, he would turn into the much more cockney and violent Mr. Hyde.
That's a real story. Here we go. You are not wrong about clearly being photoshopped and not at all standing in the same room. But at the same time, they might just be standing in the same room.
No, they're very much not.
It's just like, at some point they got a chair for Tom Cruise, but then forgot that the lighting wouldn't match. I don't know, maybe they did. I can't tell. I'm not that good with lighting or anything.
Pretty, like, look how Russell Crowe's hand is positioned such that it could be on someone's shoulder, but also is not.
That is a good point. It's very awkward. I'm looking at the Screen Crush article. Dark Universe, a shared universe for Universal monsters, dies at 1.
I believe the upcoming Invisible Man movie has grown from the ashes of the Dark Universe, though is a standalone thing, because after it didn't work, they span it off to just be some standalone films produced by a different studio, sort of mid-budget type stuff. You know, stuff people might actually want to see.
I like this. It began with the movie The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise as a mummy. Sophia...
But that gives away the big twist!
Oh.
You're meant to think he's the
good guy.
What the fuck is that guy's name? From the Mummy movies, the good ones?
Brendan Fraser?
Yeah, you're meant to think he's the Brendan Fraser type adventurer, but then in the end he becomes corrupted and turns into the Mummy.
Oh no. Sophia Boutella as an additional mummy.
So yeah, she's the evil mummy.
Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Jake Johnson as, like, also a mummy who said the famous, apparently unscripted line, "Thanks for bringing me back from the dead, dude."
That rules.
Things were off to an incredible start. Arguably the greatest start to a franchise in the history of art.
We don't need to read this whole article. I've got another whole article to read right
highly
here.
recommend it, though.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of laughing at the Dark Universe, and I encourage you all to indulge in it.
So what else was there?
I've got a quote here from Hitoshi.
Wow, old habits die hard.
Yeah. Hitoshi Akamatsu, the creator of Castlevania.
Ooh, that's fun.
Being aware of the horror movies from long ago, parentheses, long before the slasher flicks, end parentheses.
Of course.
I wanted the players to feel like they were in a classic horror movie.
Do you think that was achieved with your magical whip and holy water throwing abilities?
Yes.
Ah, of course.
Werewolves, mummies, Frankenstein's monster, and Count Dracula himself make recurring appearances. Alucard, first introduced in Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse,
True fact.
is also a reference to the character of the same name from the 1943 film Son of Dracula.
Wait, but Alucard is Dracula backwards.
What does that mean? In any other work of fiction, that might mean that he was just Dracula correcting myself. If his name was Natas, he would very obviously be Satan impersonating someone.
Yes.
Or if he was like Dr. Natas or something. But when it's Dracula and Alucard, that's how you know it's his son. The games also include folklore and mythological monsters such as Medusa, as well as literary references, including the recurring character Camilla, based on the 1872 novel by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu.
Now, if I remember right, Camilla is about the first vampire lady.
Couldn't tell you.
Cool.
Though I know she's a recurring female vampire in this franchise and in other media.
Cool.
The game's staff roll, and this is a bit of classic Konami being horrible.
Oh, fuck, here we go.
The game's staff roll features names taken from famous horror icons. For example, Akamatsu is credited as Trans Fishers, a reference to film director Terence Fisher.
Okay.
Possibly because Konami did not allow the use of real names at the time in order to prevent other companies from hiring people who worked for them.
What?
They own you.
What the shit is that? What the fuck? So wait, they would use other people's names or like
nom
plays
de plumes.
because
nom
they
de gamme.
because they were
What's
like
French for game?
Gamozu. I don't know. So they used nom de plumes in order to hide the names of people because they were scared they'd just get hired
Get
elsewhere.
headhunted, yeah. Jeu. Nom de jeu. Game name.
Nom de jeu.
Of course, my nom de jeu is of course Roach Warehouse. That's the handle I use on Steam and most other platforms.
Well, mine is milk juice with 2 O's because I use it for pretty much fucking everything these days.
Okay, so now let's talk a bit about the setting.
Okay. The year is 1470
That's
something.
literally what I'm about to say.
Oh, is it? Oh.
The year is 1476, and Count Dracula has started to ravage Europe with an army of monsters. This is from the game, Castlevania 3.
Okay.
The Belmont family of vampire hunters, once exiled from Wallachia, are called into action by the church. Interesting distinction there, in that the game seems to have been called into action by the church, whereas in the TV series, the church is very much an antagonist.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the anime or TV show has a very interesting philosophy on, like...
Religion?
I was going to say good and evil, you know? Where it's like...
I want to let you continue your point, but I do just want to interject. I'm going to let you finish, but I do want to interject quickly. That did occur to me when we were watching today. Like, this is like... It'd be very easy to interpret this first episode particularly as like some angry atheist bullshit.
I mean, yeah, but also... Yes.
But as you were saying about the nature of good and evil within the Castlevania anime.
Yeah, because, you know, it's like the church is professing there's only one good, it's God, and then they burn Dracula's wife at the stake, and Dracula's like, well...
That was rude. I'm going to kill you all.
That was bad, but obviously he's done some bad shit in the past. But
Like,
then...
the first shot of the whole show is the fields of staked skeletons outside his castle.
So it's kind of like, it's just a blurry mix of like, no
one's
one's
good.
but no one's...
Except for Cypher, who will meet in 2 or 3 episodes. Cypher.
Who could be so good as to subvert the entire American economy of Wallachia?
Anyway,
Cypher.
the church feared the Belmonts' superhuman power, but with Dracula menacing to swallow Europe in darkness, they are left with no choice but to call Trevor Belmont, current wielder of the vampire killer whip. Fascinating that an action hero would be named Trevor.
Well, I mean, it's all about European names, right?
Yeah.
You got your Dracula, you got your Simon, you got your...
Cypher?
Cypher isn't really a name.
Yeah, it is.
Cypher?
Sypha. Cypher.
I thought it was Cypher in the show.
Well, you're wrong.
Well, we gotta watch the subtitles of that shit.
Cypher.
I just assumed it was like, my name is Cypher, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
it's
her name
clearly
is
a fake
I
name.
get it, because it's
Yeah.
about like knowledge and shit. Oh,
Joining Trevor are 3 new playable characters. Cypher Belnardus,
shit, it's with an S.
a young sorceress with poor physical attack power, but powerful elemental magic spells at her disposal. We'll be seeing some more of those later in the show.
Yeah, like twice.
Grant Dynasty, a pirate with the ability to climb on walls and change direction in mid-jump, does not appear in the TV series.
What?
More on that later.
Okay.
And Alucard, Dracula's son, a Dhampir with the ability to shoot fireballs and transform into a bat.
I'm sold.
So you can pick one of those to accompany you throughout the game, and you get a different ending based on who is with you at the ending, or if you're solo.
Oh, that's cool.
But with regard to the show...
We open.
No, not with regard to the episode.
Oh, okay,
With
never
regard to the show. So
It opened.
Frederator Studios had the rights. They were originally going to do a movie, but then I think that was originally intended to be a trilogy of movies,
Which then turned into a
Netflix series.
of 8 episodes.
So I believe the first season is 4 episodes, and I believe that is the first movie.
Okay.
Second season is 8 episodes, and I believe that feels the storytelling beats of the second 2 movies. Though I would also argue that you can definitely see where it was definitely just a movie in the first season, much more than in the second season.
Yeah, but that would be a terrible movie.
Oh, like this season's movie?
Yeah.
I think a first of 3 it'd be all right.
I mean, even as a first of 3, you know how Fellowship of the Ring, you get to the end of it, and you like, if you're not into fantasy or you're not into like any of the shit that's about to happen that makes it so good, you're just like, we just fucking watched people like chat a bit
think
and then
that's a
walk
really-
for like
This leads into one of my favourite things about this show, something which I think is quite polarising and fair enough, but it's a real slow burn. I think after season 2 came out, I tweeted something like, Castlevania is my favourite show when nothing happens for a long time, but then everything happens so much.
Yes. It's like, okay, we'll probably talk about this.
It's like season 2 through 4 of Game of Thrones, where they would be waiting to do their big battle scene in the second to last episode, and then they would just have people like sitting around roasting each other for 8 episodes.
You know, in the world of video games, there can only be one winner. And then Littlefinger comes out and goes, but isn't that true, little brother? That the winner is often the loser?
No, Littlefinger, Master of Coin, comes out and he's like, but isn't it true that in video games you only lose when you run out of coins to insert?
Littlefinger, I was not aware that you were back from the video game conventions.
Oh yes, I'm a big hit over at PAX. I did a panel on representation in the games industry. Of course, it was all men on the panel, but I think we made some very salient points.
Have you met my sister, Madam Gender Diversity in the video game industry needlessly required upon every single panel that you did not take with you for no necessary reason? Perhaps you should be beheaded for not taking her.
Kind of lost track of what your
You know
point
what, so
was.
did
in
I.
that.
I don't know what the point was.
So Frederator Studios hired Warren Ellis as the screenwriter. He said with regard to the feel of the franchise that he although he didn't have knowledge of it prior to taking the job,
He didn't have knowledge of what it would be before.
Castlevania, he wasn't a big Castlevania fan or anything, is what I'm saying.
An interesting choice. Go
He
on.
said that he discovered it was a Japanese transposition of the Hammer horror films I grew up with and loved.
Nice.
Much like how Season 1 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood is a Japanese transposition of the Dracula book that I grew up with and loved.
You know what the worst part of this is?
I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong. Do you still have that book?
No.
Oh.
But I do have a copy of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood on my bookshelf.
You know, Dracula is an interesting Western transposition of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure we all know and love.
Oh, God.
If there's a new Dracula film that comes out, we need to do it on the pod. And just be like, guys, it finally happened. They adapted JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for a Western audience.
Maybe it'll be part of the Dark Universe.
Oh my god.
Ellis also went on to explain how he worked with Castlevania producer Koji Igarashi to fit the film into the timeline of the series, including writing a new backstory, and how he was frustrated that Igarashi wanted 8 full rewrites of pre-production material before giving approval.
Oh my god, he what? 8 rewrites?
Yeah, thorough brand protection.
Fuck.
So, as I said before, they were just going to do one 80-minute long film, then decided to do a trilogy, blah, blah, blah. The first part would be introduce Trevor, Dracula, Cypher, and Alucard, and go from there. Oh. In this manner, Ellis noted that if the other 2 parts were never greenlit, the first work, quote, doesn't demand the presence of the other 2 parts for it to work as its own thing.
I guess
Now,
that
I would
makes
contend
sense.
that with the season 1 we ended up getting, if that were the case, it would feel like a bit of a non-ending.
Yes, very much so.
C'est la vie. Due to the limited time, Ellis opted to drop the character of Grant Dynasty, a pirate in the game. Ellis noted that, besides the stupid name,
Fuck off.
he felt the pirate was misplaced in the setting, Wallachia, of course, being a landlocked country, and that that was me editorialising, that wasn't part of the notes.
It never clicked in my mind. I'm like, we never see an ocean in Castlevania, literally ever.
And that the limited runtime would not allow him to develop the character fully. I do want to note, and this is something that I saw people complaining about on the internet a lot after seasons 1 and 2, in fact.
Where was Grant Dynasty?
Yep, people like him, but also in the Japanese credits for Castlevania, Grant is an acrobat. He's only a pirate in the US version.
Right, I see. What's an acrobat doing fighting Dracula?
What's anyone else doing fighting Dracula? You know, he was turned into a werewolf. He wants revenge. He was also a skilled knife fighter.
Was granted. He was a werewolf.
Oh, he was a werewolf. You beat him as a boss. You get him as a companion.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
I mean, the others made more sense until you said he was a werewolf. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
The show's art style was heavily influenced by the work of
Ayami Kojima.
Thank you. With the work he did for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which
What a horrible night to have a curse.
I think... No, that's not that one. That's Simon's Quest.
Fuck.
Symphony of the Night is the one where you play as Alucard, which has strangely, I think, become the most enduringly popular one, even though it's such a dramatic departure from the rest of the games. I
think so.
And it's sort of the one that started to coin the Vania side of the Metroidvania portmanteau. It's fun to talk about video games, isn't
God,
it?
it's so good.
They also took work from the ideas of Satoshi Kon for character expressions, and series such as Cowboy Bebop and Berserk for inserting humour among the more serious elements. Nick, do you recall anything like that in Berserk?
No.
I'm not familiar with Berserk.
Literally almost... Oh, actually, hang on. Yes, I do recall having plenty of humor in between serious elements, but there's an entire, arc that spans about 130 chapters called the Golden Arc, where it's just really depressing because all the humor comes from this one little magical elf guy that starts following Guts around. And he's all like, teach me the ways of your thing. And Guts is like, fuck off. And the Golden Arc doesn't have him there yet. So it's just really depressing and be like, this is the best written thing I've ever read. But fuck, is it dark.
The 2D hand-drawn animation takes cues from Ninja Scroll and Vampire Hunter D.
Bloodlust.
No.
Oh.
With staff members that had previously worked on Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Bloodlust.
That's the one where a vampire who looks like Dracula kidnaps a woman who looks like Lucy from Dracula.
Yep.
Then D is like, oh, I can't have any of this.
What was that?
And they fight on top of a carriage and it's pretty cool. There's also an unrelated pack of vampire hunters who all just get absolutely fucked up.
Except for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's fine.
The book that's based off, I think, is called
Bloodlust. And lest we forget, of course, I did make an AMV of that movie to Alice Cooper's Poison, which is still available on YouTube if you know where to look.
Where is it, Liam?
You figure it out.
No, I remember I read the book for that, and it's called something like Death Card Death Chase or something.
That makes sense, because on account of the Death Card Death Chase that's happening.
And I was like, that sounds like a dumb name. This is going to be a dumb book. And I read it and went, I need more of this.
I would contend that the female vampire queen who appears at the climax of that movie would be our Carmilla analogue to the Dracula analogue that Maya Link represents.
I would dare say so as well.
Great.
Excellent.
Vampires are fun.
God, I fucking hate the Undead Menace, but I love talking about vampires.
The manga series Berserk and Blade of the Immortal were also cited as an inspiration, with one of the show's animation directors having previously worked on the Berserk films.
Berserk films?
Films.
Ooh, interesting.
Alright, we're getting down into the nitty-gritty now, getting through all the pre-roll.
It's only been half an hour.
This is going to be an interesting thing. Obviously, I've only had to introduce us to a new series once before on the pod, when we started JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So it's going to be a bit of a learning experience as I learn
how to introduce new series
succinctly. But there's some interesting stuff in here still too.
Yeah.
I do also want to note that the show's showrunner and exec producer said that after they finished telling Trevor's story, there's potential to tell other stories from other games in the series, noting that overall, he sees the series as a, quote, story about a family and multiple generations of this family. Does that sound familiar?
No. So, let me get this right. We're watching a Western show that is not JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that has A, a vampire antagonist, B, a rich kid who's fallen on slightly harder times.
Jonathan didn't really fall on hard times. People were just mean to him a little
Sorry.
bit.
His dog got kicked and then burned alive. His girlfriend got kissed by his adopted brother and was all like, I've shamed her. His house burned down because his adopted brother turned into a vampire.
That was years later, though.
Oh, I guess. But that's still, he falled on hard times. He's like, I have to kill my brother. No. And then he got burned alive. That sounds like hard times.
Look, Jonathan Joestar didn't have an easy life for an aristocrat.
Indeed.
But he was still an aristocrat.
So then, we've got him. We've got Dracula. But we've also got possibly multiple generations happening.
Yeah.
But it's not JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
We could see some Simon. We could come into the modern day and do Soma Cruz, the man who becomes the reincarnation of Dracula but must battle against his inner evil.
Ooh,
In
interesting.
those bad Castlevania DS games.
Oh no.
I didn't play the second one, actually. That one had a really cool in concept, but very frustrating in practice mechanic, where after reducing a boss's hit points to 0, you would have to draw like a summoning sigil on the touch screen, and you would have to like copy the lines that it went by memory. And if you got it wrong, you had to like do 10% of their life back again. Really cool in principle, kind of frustrating in practice.
Yeah, no.
And then I've just got a bit of notes here on their approach to the character of Dracula.
Tell me more.
So Adi Shankar said that one of the series' main goals was to paint Dracula not as a villain, but a tragic, doomed figure. He said, the best villains in general are the heroes of their own story, and the trick to making Castlevania resonate was this idea that Dracula isn't a bad guy. He isn't a villain, he's just a person consumed with darkness. That first episode in season 1, that's the one we watched today.
That is the one we watched today.
You wouldn't know it from our podcast so far. We started to see why he wants to eradicate humans. He's not just this moustache-curling one-dimensional villain. What Dracula is doing is not really a war against humanity. It's more of a suicide note. And I think that actually made it into the dialogue in season 2, that last bit.
Yeah, it's pretty good though.
I think, because Dracula, other than this first episode, he's fairly absent in season 1, isn't he?
I think
From what I recall.
Yeah, I don't think he shows up much. I think he has
looms a bit. I was really fascinated by the transition from how we see him in season 2, spoiler alert, where he's just clearly suicidally depressed.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there
Just
what
in
the
his
fuck
chair,
is the point?
starving himself to death.
Yeah, and they're like, what are you doing? I believed in you. It's like, what's the fucking point? Nothing matters anymore. It's good though.
It's a good take on the character. I do want to say he is still clearly a villain though, because he's killing
almost the entirety of humanity.
thousands of... How many people would have been in Wallachia in 1476?
Oh, but what is a few 100,000 people to one person that he loved? It's like, yeah.
With a 79% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, Castlevania became the first ever adaptation of a video game to not get a rotten score.
What is that?
59% or lower.
Maybe it's all thanks to those 8 rewrites.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the first, 7 were like, oh, Dracula's got, this friend. And they were like, no, Dracula doesn't have friends. Dracula has this problem. Dracula doesn't have problems.
Dracula clearly has problems.
Dracula is bored. Go on with living. Go on.
I'm living.
Ah.
Then I just have a couple of notes from the IMDb page for this episode.
Okay.
As we get into it. Also, just to get it out of the way, I'm not going to talk much about Vlad Tepes, the historical ruler of Wallachia, who, Vlad the Impaler.
Oh.
Because I feel like we're a few levels of abstraction away from that to be super relevant.
But we also did impale a lot of skeletons.
A lot
at
of
the start
impaled
of
skeletons, but then also, it's... this is inspired by the character of Dracula as seen in Bram Stoker's novel, but clearly not the same one.
Yeah.
And also, Dracula in that novel was again inspired by, but not the same one as Vlad III Dracula.
Right. Okay. Sure.
So there is a chain there. It'd be really interesting to bring Vlad the Impaler into the modern world and show him either JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Castlevania and be like, yeah, that's you.
I thought you
That's
were
you with 2 levels of abstraction. He'd be like, what the fuck?
I thought you were going to say it'd be really fun to bring Vlad the Impaler into the Dark Universe.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Just imagine it. It's
They actually already did that. That was what Dracula Untold was.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me right now?
No.
No. Don't tell me.
It was in the past. It wasn't in the modern days.
What the fuck? Who ever thought that was a good... Anyway. Whatever. Jesus Christ.
Oh, what a dark universe
What
we
a
live
dark
in. This is indeed a dark universe.
Oh.
So today we watched Witch Bottle, the first episode of Castlevania. Is that Bloody Tears or is that Vampire Killer?
Vampire Killer.
Okay.
Bloody Tears is all like...
Good music in the Castlevanias.
Yeah, it's so good.
A headstrong young woman seeks out forbidden knowledge. A corrupt bishop courts disaster by enraging a legend. Thank you. So just a couple of notes from the IMDb trivia that are mostly irrelevant to this episode, but I thought were interesting.
Irrelevant.
When doing some of her magic techniques, Cypher makes a hand gesture similar to the heavy metal horns gesture popularized by Ronnie James Dio.
Dio Brando.
This seems strange, but according to Dio, it originated as a gesture to ward away evil spirits, making it surprisingly appropriate.
That is true.
IMDb trivia is such bullshit. What
do you mean?
It's always just stupid shit.
But that's true.
And that was one of the better points I got off the page.
Oh no.
The cities of Wallachia, named by Dracula, with the exception of Grezhit, are historical places, including Arges, Chilea, Enisara, misidentified by the subtitles as Enisara, and Severin. Chilea is the name of 3 different villages in modern-day Romania, but the city referred to it in the series is likely the modern-day commune of Chilea Veche, or Old Chilea, renamed as such to distinguish it from the rival city of Kilia, sometimes called Nuchilia, founded on the, or it would be Kilia, I think, because if we're talking Wallachia, it's probably Kilia.
Kilia.
This is another Abachio situation all over again. Founded on the other side of the Danube after Old Kilia/Chilia was occupied by the Ottomans. And finally, Grezit means wrong in Romanian. Wallachia is part of the modern-day country of Romania. After uniting with Moldavia in 1859, the newly formed country adopted the name Romania in 1866.
Big. Huge.
1866 was, of
Massive
course,
plays.
the year that the video game The Order 1866 took place in. A famously bad video game.
Oh boy.
That was 1866, right? I'm not misremembering
Yeah, don't
that.
worry, it was definitely...
Yeah.
Wait, was it 18?
Or was it 1886?
Ooh. You know what? It's so bad, I literally don't even care. But it's so sad.
It was 86. My mistake.
Oh, Liam, our listeners are paying money to have good facts.
Some of them are. A minority of them.
Wow.
No, thank you, everyone.
My eyes are widened right now.
Smash cut to chittering bats and skeletons impaled on stakes out front of the big iconic Castlevania castle, which is as much like a
castle as it is.
It's got a lot of
installation.
a lot of like
Gears.
otherworldly architecture, like towers that aren't attached to anything. And,
No, it's got towers that are attached.
but like aren't attached to the floor. They've just got
Yeah.
like floating buttresses holding them on.
how can it be when stone can't even support its own weight?
And this woman is just walking through the swarm of bats and skeletons.
And it's
just
all like-
doing a veritable Dark Souls level right here.
She stabs one of the bats with a dagger.
Castlevania level, I suppose.
Ooh. Stabs a bat with a dagger and is all like, "Gah, damn bats."
I've got a freaking bat on my knife. Gross. Why did she do that?
What, stab the bat?
Yeah.
It's getting annoying. She's like, fuck off,
That
bats.
one bat out of all of them?
Yeah, that's the mother bat. The mad bat hatter, you know?
Nope.
It's the head bat.
So she knocks on this huge stone door.
Donk donk, is anyone home? Goes the door.
Yep, door slowly creaks on open. She walks in. She's clutching her knife close to herself. She's clearly afraid, but she is resolute.
Like me.
Sure. Whenever you come to my house.
Yes.
And the door silently creaks open.
And you're just there,
You rang.
on your dais far above,
Hanging from the ceiling.
floating, if one might say. Just going, why have you come?
Would you like to record a podcast?
I would. Disappear.
Little does Nick realise that's the same show I give to everyone who enters a room, in my room, and he's just the only person who doesn't run away screaming. And that's why we have a podcast together.
Halloween trick-or-treating. Would you like to start a podcast? Ah! Stay away from my son. Don't you start more podcasts with him.
Lovely, lovely surroundings and this big entry foyer. A lot of like lit candelabras.
Oh,
and-
lit. Lit AF.
Oh, these
come on.
candelabras are lit.
This architecture lit AF. So there's candelabras, there's like gothic architecture,
There's like a spatter of electricity at some point. Strange mechanisms.
there's a lot of gears, a lot of cogs, a lot of pistons.
And then the door clangs shut behind her. And there at the top of the stairs is our man, Dracul.
Why have you come?
Oh, hello. I'm Lisa.
Oh, not one of you.
She's from the village of Lupu. She wants to be a doctor.
Ah, noble.
And he does a really cool thing, which a lot of the vampires do in this series, and it's always really cool. Like it's one of those it's one of those things that perfectly shadows the line between so stupid and so cool, where they take a step and they fade into shadows and they step out of a different shadowy.
You know what I love about
Corridor.
it? It's like the biggest fucking posturing.
Yeah, it's like clearly all for show.
And it's like when they do it with other vampires around, it's clearly just a, see, look what I can do. And they're like, oh,
Yeah,
fuck off.
Fuck off, I can do that too, look.
Yeah, but I can do it better. It's like, fuck
Oh,
off.
it'd be great to do a Aaron Sorkin style walking conversation with two vampires where they're just constantly phasing into different backgrounds.
Oh my god.
We've got to conduct our war against the humans. That's right, but have you considered the advancing forces from Romania? Oh no. Yeah, and so on.
Oh my god. That'd be ridiculous.
And then he's behind her and he's like, oh, you shouldn't have come here. Perhaps you're here seeking knowledge, you superstitious witch doctor. And she's like, no, I want to be a scientist.
And what does he say?
Well, he says a lot of things.
Oh, yeah?
What are
Okay.
you driving at?
That follows. He says something cool that I've forgotten.
Oh, you will come here because you want to dab chicken blood on peasants.
That's right.
She's like, no, I want to be a real doctor. I don't mistake me for a witch. I hear that the man who lives here has secret knowledge. Or you might say, if you were to look at a thesaurus for each of those words, a sort of hidden wisdom.
Why are there so many parallels in every vampire media?
So he's like, yep, I'm Dracula. What do you want to trade for my secrets?
Nothing. Fuck off. Can you learn some fucking manners,
And
please?
he steps out behind her and strokes her neck, and she clutches her knife for a second, but she's like, oh no, fuck you. I'm cool.
Excuse me.
She is cool.
She is very cool.
She's cool in the literal sense of the word. She's very collected.
Calm-headed. She basically is like, look here, all right? You might be a vampire, but you could learn to, respect people in the house.
You haven't even taken my coat or offered me a drink.
What is this?
Even after I came unbidden into your house. Thereby exercising my non-vampire privilege of passing freely through threshold.
No, she knocked the door opened. It's like, you've allowed me
You know what?
passage.
You've got me there. He did ask her in after a sword.
Yeah, and it was like, you've allowed me in your home. You haven't even taken my coat.
So I like a lot of
What is this, 1276? Come on.
Good quiet exchanges in this where don't get remarked upon as huge laugh lines, but are quite clever. Where he's all like, have you cloaked yourself in silver and crosses and garlic and other superstitions? And she's like, oh, I might have eaten some roasted garlic earlier. Sorry.
Is that bad? Should I not have done that?
It was all I had. I'd be very intrigued to see her journey here. Or I suppose more accurately, I'd be very intrigued to play it in a Dark Souls style video game.
Where you need to get from A to B. The problem is B is up. You could say one giant fuck off mountain with a church at the top.
Are we on a mountain? I thought we were just in a corpse field.
I don't know. I think we are in a corpse field, but you go through a portal to get to that DLC.
Of course.
Yeah.
The Dark Souls 2 DLCs are really good. That game is much maligned, and I think unfairly so.
I don't.
Did you play regular or Scholar of the First Sin?
I played Scholar of the First Sin.
You gotta admit the DLCs are awesome though, right?
The DLC's cool, but yeah.
You're listening to Twin Humanities.
Anyway, more Dracula, please.
So he's all like, yes, I see something different in you. You have a hunger for knowledge I've not seen in recent humans. Come, take my hand and I show you a whole new world.
A whole new... What the fuck is that thing?
And he's got a lab, essentially.
Yeah,
he's got central heating and
he's got
plasma screen.
Bubbling beakers, lots of
surround sound.
Lots of things that should have things there but don't.
Amazon Alexa.
He's got a vacuum thing that's on wheels that just goes around your house.
A Roomba.
He's got a Roomba.
He's got a smartphone.
He's got...
Dracula's like, oh, hang on, that's me. Hello? Yeah.
Just take my coat!
This entire structure is a traveling machine. I can go wherever I want. And she's like, oh, but clearly you haven't.
Well, why would I? It's dumb out there.
Yeah,
Shit.
Earth sucks. It's full of stupid peasants. Well, maybe if you shared your hidden wisdom with them, they wouldn't be so stupid peasants anymore.
But why would I do that?
Well, you do that, and I'll make you better. I'll make you less of a reclusive weirdo.
No, she says to make the world better.
Yeah, but...
I'll start with you, you start with me.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little thing
It's
that
true.
they can bond
It's
over.
nice. I shouldn't have undercut it like that.
Don't undercut the philosophy of the 8th rewrite of this show, Liam.
I do like the moving castle elements though, and we see a bit of this later in the show. But it's a nice take on the fact that in the games it would be Dracula's castle has emerged again.
Whereas this time it's just, it was somewhere, and now it's here. It's good times.
Yeah. You could say it's a sort of moving castle.
That howls a lot when it moves too.
It does actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's learning time, slow fade to black. We are now in Targovist, Wallachia, 1475. They're burning Lisa at the stake.
So it was 1474 before or something?
I believe so.
Didn't write it down.
Didn't write it down.
It was the past.
More fool me.
It's I remember, I was literally to half of these things, it was and they did. So it was I'll start with you, you start with me. We'll, make the world better. I was and they did. We're now burning her at the stake.
Yep. We get a lot of ominous shots of like priests silently chanting and holding up crucifixes.
I mean, whatever they say to inaudible things.
And the bishop, who is the most sinister looking man we've ever seen.
You literally went, man, what a fucking cunt when we saw
I
it.
did. I wasn't going to say that on the air, but yes,
I'll
I did
say
say
it
that.
for you.
Now, I should clarify for our international listeners that although that is still quite a rude word in Australia, it has a common usage, which means it's not like the rudest of the rude words as it is in the US, for instance.
It's true. But in this instance, I feel like you really went for it. You're like, what a fucking asshole. He's got thin eyes, like he's always squinting at you, judging you wordlessly.
And he's talking to the mayor, and the mayor is like, is this really necessary? And he's like, yep, we found science shit in her house, gotta kill her.
You know, the mayor, have dabbled in some of that science shit before. A bit of chemistry, a bit of brewing, you know.
But just study, never actually done
As the
anything.
archbishop eyes him up and down with judging eyes.
Lisa's burning to death. She's like, no, don't hurt them. Dracula, I hope you can hear me.
Don't be like them. Be better than them.
Be better than Dracula. And little does she realise that he's about to get so much worse.
Oh, no.
And she burns to death. You know.
The archbishop is all like,
I believe she is beseeching Satan not to take revenge on us. Almost admirable for a witch. Perhaps I will say a prayer for her later. A small one.
oh.
I think that's when I swore at him.
Yeah, you were literally like, what a fucking cunt.
We can stop saying that
I was
now.
like, God damn, Liam. God damn, you really hate that guy.
He's kind of the worst, right?
Well, the entire church in this show is the worst.
But, he's kind of the leader of that movement of it, as we see.
I mean, even, like, the Pope is just a fuckhead.
Archbishop.
Archbishop? Oh, yeah, he's just the bishop right now, isn't he? Yeah.
I think isn't he?
Head priest.
Well, the Archbishop dies later this episode.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
The bishop is the man we're looking at
Yeah.
right now. Meanwhile, Dracula's walking down the road. He's got his pack, he's got his coat, he's got his wedding ring on his big gross...
Are we not going to talk about the sick intro?
Oh, yeah, the sick intro does happen.
The sick intro is sick.
It's a lot of line art. First it's like black on white, then it comes black on red.
Imagine how hard that would have been to fucking draw.
I bet.
Oh
you
my
know what we
God.
should watch, which also is super hard to draw? It's not so JoJo-y in terms of action, but I think it was really hailed as like a pretty artistic piece when it came out, was Ping Pong.
Ping pong.
Yeah, it's a table tennis anime.
Okay. This already sounds like it has mild JoJo's energy because the show is about table tennis and it's called ping pong. Oh my God.
I'm going to quietly play Nick a bit of the trailer.
What is going on in this animation?
It hasn't even started yet.
I know, but I saw the thing and I'm like, what the hell? We are all the anime. All right, put it in the bracket, Liam. Put it in the bracket.
So imagery we see includes villagers with torches and like people with bound hands, signifying Lisa.
We see Lisa on the stake as Alucard, I think, is holding up his hand to her.
Yeah.
And she turns to
It was
dust.
a kind of an ambiguous silhouette. I wasn't sure if it was Alucard or Dracula.
It's one of the two.
Yeah.
It's either humanity burning away because Lisa gets burned at the stake, or humanity and Dracula burning away because Lisa burned at the
Yeah,
stake.
some more angry mob imagery, a church, a ruined town, Trevor. I want to say that.
Trevor.
I want to say that's indicative of the sacking of the Belmont homestead.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Cypher's there, Alucard's there.
The whole gang, even the monsters are
Then
there.
everything goes red, and demons, things in the night, and crosses, and Trevor does an action thing, and then we close out on the iconic silhouette of the Castlevania against the moon.
Ooh, because vampires.
Something that I noticed, or something else that I read in my research today that I want to keep an eye out for, is that apparently in addition to crying blood when he's upset a lot in this, Dracula that is, apparently also in his emotional moments, the moon will turn blood red.
Huh.
So that's something I want to keep an eye out for.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a cool effect.
Yeah. He has such power.
It's almost like a sort of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure style colour shift.
Are you saying this might be some kind of Western transposition of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1, Phantom Blood?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
So Dracula's walking, he's got a wedding ring, there's like faint drops of blood in his wake, but I'm not
know
really
what
sure what
that
that
is,
yeah,
yeah.
Had he recently fed perhaps?
Maybe it's like Lisa got beaten and then there's blood there.
No, it's Dracula. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, because it's in the snow.
I can't. No, it's not.
Yeah, the blood's in the
It's like
snow.
muddy dirt.
Or the muddy dirt
Yeah.
with snow on it.
I don't think there was any snow.
Well, in the whatever it was. In the white sand.
I want to say we see her place being torn apart in the next episode or so.
No, isn't it like the start of season 2?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. At some point we will.
And she's, there.
Yeah.
I think she's like treating someone when they come in, so she wouldn't have been beaten this far away from her place. Unless they beat her as they were taking her away, of course.
Which could happen.
Could happen.
The church are assholes in this show.
So he walks through with a dark but fairly neutral expression, just the natural dark expression of a man who is Dracula.
Who's just like, fuck, that was boring.
I had to walk everywhere. Looking forward to getting into my magical moving castle.
He finds his home where his wife was, burned to ash.
Yep. And there's this old woman there bringing a bouquet of flowers, like, "Are you Mr. Tepesh? Oh, she often talked about you, dearie."
Yes, that's me. Where is she, by the way?
The bishop took her. Witchcraft. I'm becoming more of a Cockney orphan as I go.
Well, that's close to her.
You there, boy. Where is she? The bishop took her, sir, on Christmas Day.
You there. What year is it?
1456 or whatever we said earlier. They're gonna burn her at the stake, sir.
Dracula just looks at her and goes, what?
She was always good to me, she was. A good doctor. Wasn't right what they did to her, of course. I said to my friend Mavis, I said...
Where is she? Where is she right now?
Oh, she's long dead by now. They said we should go and watch, but I couldn't bring myself to be there. I won't take joy in that lovely woman being killed by the church.
We see Dracula crying some blood.
Yep, big bloody tears.
And he's all like...
He's all like... Bloody stream.
Oh.
Bloody storm, whatever.
So then he's all like, you there, English boy, with the Cockney accent. Leave this place.
She said you were travelling. I was, as the way men do. But I do not travel as a man anymore. And then he turns into a huge column of fire.
He's all like, leave now while you still can.
Yeah.
I'll do you one kindness before I commit genocide.
I'll give you one warning.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Slightly further in advance of the warning I give everyone else actually responsible. Though I suppose he's viewing humanity as one like unworthy batch now.
It's a sign of depression when you... What's the thing? It's like you make everything out to be all or nothing. So it's like humans...
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Well, boy, have I got a Sith for you. Vlad Tepesh, not Grand Apprentice.
What?
I don't know. How do Sith apprentices work?
Well, you become an apprentice.
Uh-huh.
When you kill your master.
Oh.
And then you take an apprentice.
Right.
And they kill you. And they take an apprentice. Of course, there are usually numerous failed apprentices who try to kill you and fail within that time period.
Weird.
Do you have any other Star Wars questions for me?
When Salacious B. Crumb was laughing, was he using his vocal cords?
He was laughing to hide the tears.
Oh, what a sad, cruel being.
All right, we should keep moving.
Yes,
We're running long.
So basically, he starts crying tears, turns around, is like, go and leave now. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm off to tell everyone that I'm going to kill them all in a year.
And she's like, I guess it was witchcraft after all.
So he turns...
slow, fade out on the burnt bouquet of flowers, symbolism, themes.
There's some stuff there about burning of, attachment to humanity, whatever. And I was all like, and he did. And you were like, shut up.
No, I wasn't.
Well, you weren't, but you were later.
So the burning is just wrapping up, and we see her charred skeleton crumble into dust, and everyone's like, hooray!
We did it! We burned the witch!
The mayor is like, oh, that was fun. Wanna go get pub?
Get a drink?
Cornetto?
And this is the real I've got mine mentality that's taking our world into the gutters. So thank fuck Dracula's here to stop that.
Yeah, this summer I'm voting for Dracula.
Vlad Tepesh. Why vote for the lesser evil?
I should go minister to the Archbishop. Wallachia could be God's own country had I but the time to burn out all the evil that hides here. Ooh. Good line, then everything explodes, and Dracula is there, he's a huge column of fire as a skull, and the bishop is like, Satan, and then he resolves himself into a more Dracula-like pillar of fire.
So he's basically where Lisa was getting burned, but he's now the fire.
Yeah.
And much more of it.
I am Vlad Dracula Tepesh. Tell me what you have done to my wife. And everyone's like, oh no, it's Dracula. He's supposed to just be a story.
Well, we fucking burned her. She's a witch.
She was a woman of science, and the one thing... It was very good, like, melodramatic, like, I think operatic is the right word, like, lines from Dracula, but everyone in this episode, really.
Yeah.
Just, like, these, like...
Grand swathing
these
statements.
literally operatic, like, statements of motivation and, like, a lot of poetic language. I like it a lot.
It's so good. The writing is really good. It's just that nothing happens in the show.
It's a slow burn, but I like that.
When we get to season 2, I'll be like, nothing happened. And then you'll be like,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a real difference of opinion on season 2 because I really enjoyed all of the like vampire courtly intrigue that was going
see,
on.
that's fine, but when you're literally in a library for 5 episodes...
I will cop to the fact that the protagonists didn't do a great deal.
They did
but
nothing.
I was more of a character piece
Yes.
on the vampires by that stage.
The 2 humans are the most interesting part. But anyway, we're getting distracted.
Yeah, we'll get to that
In season 2.
in a month's time.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I
Dracula's
just wish
all like...
that more of the vampire generals were given characterization.
Oh, like fucking, what's
Because
his
it
face?
focused on like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, like what's his face? The Viking guy.
Oh,
We'll find out his name in season 2.
It's a really good name though.
Yeah.
He's voiced by Peter Stormare, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Godbrand, I think it was.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dracula's all like, fuck you. She was good.
Yeah, I'll give you 1 year to make your peace and remove any marks you've made upon the land, and then I shall wipe all human life from Wallachia. For you took... He's just doing his one-man show here.
Yeah.
For I am Dracula.
Some guy's like, sorry, we've got dinner to get to. I am Dracula.
Some guy just stands up and starts applauding.
I guess
Oh, yeah, encore!
the priest is like, burn him.
Such great special effect. Yeah, they throw him into the fire that is Dracula.
Dracula's like, you don't learn, do you?
I shall make this man the undead chief of my army.
Either that or, well, I don't know how to feel about this one.
Kind of a mixed bag here in Targovish tonight. You've been a middling audience. See you in 1 year.
Thwump he goes.
Yeah. You see him back at his castle, and he's been looking through this like big magic mirror that like turns into like floating shards of glass. That's a cool effect.
It's so
the
dope.
sort of 3D animation of it kind of stands out against everything else.
And he's just there being like, I'm going to smash some things in anger because my wife got burned at the stake.
1 year to summon an army from the guts of hell itself. Still performing, though not to an audience. Or is he, though he doesn't know, for his
A silhouette in
an
the background.
unnamed figure who is obviously his son Alucard. It's like, no, don't do it, Papa. For Mother loved the humans, and she was one of them.
Fuck you, Alucard, do what I want.
And like a big claw, because they're gonna fight, and cut away.
There's some blood that splatters away.
I grieve with you, but I shall not allow you to commit genocide.
And Dracula's response is, "Ah!" And then he claws him.
You know, we're going to see more of this in the last episode of this season and in season 2. But this is that dynamic we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. The Jojo and Caesar dynamic. The the main protagonist who's kind of like a wreck, a real piece of shit in Trevor, and then Alucard is the other half of that, who's like the real prim and proper one.
Yeah.
Real serious all the time.
Who doesn't really get jokes because he's like, why would I laugh at that? That's a deadly serious matter. You really don't get human affairs, do you, Alucard?
Is that a line from later?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Targovisht, 1476. Everyone's bringing out the Archbishop. He's got the same big, gross, sharp fingernails, as was the style at the time.
He's got a bulbous toad-like...
Or is that a subtle symbol about the corrupting nature of power?
I think it's more that. However, where Dracula was sharp, clearly defined, and intelligent, the Archbishop is gross, fat, and bug-eyed.
He has grown corpulent in his indolence.
He looks... Oh,
yeah,
that's
I'm
good.
breaking out the triple
That's
words
good.
today.
So he's basically got like a toad-esque chin, and then another toad-esque
Toad's the
chin.
animal, not the Mario guy.
Well, I mean, Toad has a big bulbous bit at the top, which could be this guy's chin. Fungal and disturbed.
You've got me there.
And, he just...
20 years have I served you and God, and never before have I felt the love of God shine so much upon this city.
I love you, Archbishop.
You know, if this came out when the Da Vinci Code came out, there could have been big protests about negative depictions of the church.
Ooh.
A little more... So,
There's that.
Keyword, a little more than a year ago, we suffered a vision of doom from the devil. But here we are. The devil lied, as he always does.
There's a guy-
And there were no repercussions for our actions.
There's a guy with a watch in the background, and it's like ticking down.
Yeah.
Much, little less, little, and then it ticks to exactly 1
Yeah.
year since Dracula. And then,
Since D-Day.
and then,
Dracula Day.
and then, as he literally says, nothing will befall us.
Nothing can possibly go wrong.
A drop of blood rains from the sky.
Prior to that, as he's been talking, we've been seeing like slowly encroaching darkness behind him.
Like clouds
Yeah, yeah.
blocking out the sky.
And then we see like big red clouds entirely encase the sky, and like a torrent of blood falls from the sky, and people are understandably perturbed by this.
blood is flooding the streets.
And then like horrid little creatures, but like not the big monsters we come to see, just like horrid little lumps of flesh, like
fetuses of the gargoyles that we
like
see
just
later.
fall dead from the sky. It's really unnerving, and I'm not entirely sure like.
It's the birth
Is-
of the end.
Is that something deliberate Dracula is going for, or is it just a byproduct of the army summoning?
I think maybe it's both. Where they're like, okay, so we can... Like, he has them fully formed in his castle.
Yeah.
But maybe they're like, okay, look, we can bring
These
them
ones
in.
didn't quite work out, so let's just use them to freak people out.
Maybe it's like... They had a discussion in hell, and he was like, right, look, I need you to bring in as many of those gargoyle things as you can. It's like, oh, cool. We'll bring him in fully formed. He's like, wait. Wait. Hang on.
How many
hang on.
do you have that are sort of malformed right now?
Why would you want the malformed ones? They won't immediately kill anyone.
Could be good. Could be good for my image.
Dracula, you're a fucked up guy.
And
I
of
like
course,
that.
Of course, he's talking to Death, who is his lieutenant in many of the video games, though does not appear in the anime franchise.
Alas, maybe one day we'll see him, but not today.
So the castle appears in a huge torrent of flame, all of its windows fling open, and then like big bat-like demon creatures with red skin and glowing red eyes
And we get
emerge.
we get Dracula's face come from the sky
in a swarm of bats.
in a swarm of fire first.
Oh, I thought it was bats.
No, first it's fire. It comes down from the sky.
And then he
goes-
comes back and he's
Yes.
bats.
Yeah. So
He's like, that's right, get you a man who can do both.
so he basically comes down in fire and he's all like, "You had one fucking year, guys. And
I
what do
gave
you
you
do?
1 year to leave and you threw a fucking party about killing my wife. Not cool.
Not cool at all." Imagine what would happen if you were going out with someone, your friend murders them, and then you're like, "Dude."
I'm gonna kill you in a year.
And then he comes back in a year's time. He's throwing a party about murdering. It's like, "Oh, bro,
Ding,
I'm
ding,
gonna-
ding, ding, ding.
bro, you're
Tapping the
here."
champagne flute. Guys, I just want to say how happy I am that I killed Nick's wife.
And then you throw a dead dog, like weird malformed dog, at him.
Well, of course, earlier I had put his dog in the furnace,
Ah, classic. I see you've learned from our 4 years together.
And then all of his friends who I turned against him really easily are like, yeah, get him, Liam/Nick. We've kind of amalgamated in this
yeah, that
scenario.
makes- yeah, that
We've
makes
thrown
sense.
together.
Who's the bad guy here?
Peter Dutton.
Yeah, we'll say Peter Dutton. Yeah, that's a good one.
Then bats form the shape. Well, obviously the gargoyles kill everyone. There's like tearing them apart.
Yep.
One of them shoots a fireball at it from its mouth and engulfs like a whole building.
It's not
they're
great.
no slouches, these gargoyles. He's
There's-
invested in the premium model.
They like their esophagi being ripped out. They like their spines being split. What they really love is screaming. They love screaming. They are all about that shit.
Yeah, they've been doing their vocal warm-ups in Dracula's castle, and he's like, oh, God, I can't wait to get this show on the road.
Like for a whole year, they've been like, no, try a
They've been harmonizing, but the harmony is just horrible screeching.
And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Just go. Just go out there and murder. That's all I need you for, really.
Ding, ding, ding. Oh, it has been a year. Great. This worked out.
What are they doing going on about my wife? So anyway, he comes in fire. He's all like, you had a year. Now you're celebrating. Fuck you. I'm going to murder you all. Castle appears. And then
Then he forms bats.
he forms into
Or
bats.
rather, bats form him.
Ooh. And his silhouette looks rad.
Yeah. And he's like, go, fly, my pretties, fly. Kill them all. Once Targovishte has been made into a graveyard of my love. Again, that cool
Yep.
operatic language.
Very grandiose.
Go into the country, all the cities of Wallachia. Kill for my love.
Which ones do they have to go to, Liam?
Well, he listed some of them that I read out earlier, but I didn't write it down in the
There
moment.
was Travisht.
There was Grezhit.
There was Argash. There was Romania.
No,
There was
that's a future
Sardinia.
country.
There was Romania. There was England. And I think there was Wallachia. All these places are real. They're just based off Castlevania 2.
Sure. Anyway, so then we're in an unrelated peasant village.
Literally, the last thing we see is like one of the bats fly into the camera, and I was like, I didn't take the opportunity to make a great joke, but that's fine. I'm not at all bitter about myself not making that joke.
What's the joke?
Well, the joke was like, and then he did when we did that.
Okay.
Yeah. I remarked it to you when we were watching, and you were like, huh. And I was like, yeah, I should have made it at the time, though. You're like, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Do you have any more
Any more
comments on jokes you wish you had made?
So many, Liam.
Oh no, I've opened the box.
So many.
And then next time you see me, my skin has been bleached white by age. Anyway.
We've been recording for 27 years, Nick. So, we're at some weird peasant village on the outskirts of Wallachia.
There are these just two fucking idiots.
I'm sorry, one idiot, one cousin of an idiot.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, he's talking about how he blinds the guy for fucking his goat.
If I see a guy with his dick in my goat, I'm gonna fucking hit him with a shovel.
That's why they call me Leaky Eye Luca.
So then his friend is all
Their names are like Cobb and Yon or something.
Yeah. So he's all like, well, you know, you wouldn't have your best goat get fucked by whatever. And he's all like, you're fucking right, I wouldn't. Which is why I hit him with me shovel. And he's all like, good on ya.
And now the lawman says I gotta pay him because I blinded him.
You know what, brother? That's fucking shit.
You're my cousin, not my brother.
But we're related by blood.
We have the same father. Yeah, but your mother is my aunt. Great, cool.
Yep.
Then someone runs in and is like, the horde is sweeping west. Oh, do you think they'll come in or kill us all?
Why does he sound so enthusiastic?
I don't know, it's his thing.
Hey guys, the horde's sweeping in. Do you think they'll murder us and eat our esophagi?
I hear they're closing in on Greshit. And Cobb or whoever is like, good, those stuck-up bastards. It's all about when the great houses have their quibbles, the small folk are the ones who suffer.
The bartender is like, any more drinks for anyone here? Anyone at all? More drinks?
While I'm pouring, he's got his big flagon.
Yep, and he gets some for Goat Fucker Man.
Yep.
And then a guy from the back in a large fur coat. A large fur.
I shall have some too. Do you recognize my voice from The Hobbits Part 1 through 3?
I thought he just goes, over here. My axe, please.
Anyway, so yeah, then the guy is like, and Vlad Dracula, that's an old family, and the capital is all the great houses, but you know who's the worst? The fucking Belmonts. And we should have killed all the Belmonts when we had the chance. I'm gonna stick you, not if I stick you first. Let's put a maggot hole in your belly. Hands off that shiny shirt. That's... What other lines do orcs have in The Lord of the Rings? Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
Is that Uruk-hai or is that orcs?
Yeah, it's an Uruk-hai. Same difference though, right?
No, don't you dare classify Uruk-hai with orcs.
Saruman has bred orcs with goblin men to create a horrific new breed of orc.
Uruk-hai.
Their armor is thick and their skulls are thicker.
So as the dude is like, I'm gonna fuck those Belmonts like I had that guy fuck my goat, we see the guy in the fur coat put a hand over his forehead and go,
oh, fuck.
Shit.
And that's the end of Castlevania Part 1.
What was the name of the episode?
Witch Bottle. I said that at the start.
Witch Bottle.
As in witches.
Oh, Witch Bottle. Oh. Why is it called Witch Bottle?
Oh.
Maybe because Dracula bottled up all his emotions about a witch.
Yeah.
Very. Is this a bit crass? Is this a bit crass?
Dracula's gonna kill us all. Possibly they were talking about her, like, oh, the likes of which you've never seen. Bottles of glass, thin as paper. Clearly satanic instruments.
Witch bottles.
Witch bottles.
Yeah.
Beakers.
So Liam, I have a question for you. Do you have a highlight from this episode?
Good question. I think I've got to give my highlight to great performance in the prologue by Lisa of Lupu. She takes no guff from the most powerful creature in Wallachia, and she wins his love, and he wins hers.
It's almost as though being yourself goes a long way in a relationship.
She's a kind person. Clearly, she wants to learn beyond the knowledge of her times, and you've got to respect that.
Do I?
Well, I do.
Yeah, right. I like the bit where Dracula's like, fuck you.
Yeah, that's a good bit.
In 1 year, I'm going to come back and I'm going to fuck everyone over.
And you gotta respect that.
You gotta respect that, you know?
You gotta respect the restraint to not do it straight away. Instead
Yeah.
of taking me a year to summon an army, but let's be honest, he could have killed all those people himself.
Yeah.
He was a giant pillar of fire.
He could have been like, well...
And as he left, he did make the sky rain for fire for good measure.
It's just like, if he wanted to, he could murder everyone. But you know what? I gotta do it the right way. It's about sending a message. Any lowlights?
Lowlights. I think my lowlight has to be the goat fucker conversation.
But that's great.
Compared to the rest of the episode, I know it's what it's trying to do. It just kind of because it's such a sharp contrast from the melodrama we've had to date. But it just kind of stands out a bit like a sore thumb to me.
My lowlight is probably gonna be I just want to say the ending, because we both thought,
Well, yeah, we've both watched this series before,
Yeah.
and we remember what happens next, and we both thought the thing that happens next happened in this
it's
episode.
just, it's like a good cutoff point, but it's still really weird because you're just like,
This is one of those parts where I think you can really see how this one particularly used to be a movie.
yeah, I think it was like episode 3, it literally just fucking ends. And it's like, the fuck is this? And this is one of those instances where you go, that wasn't the best ending point you could have come up with. Like, no offense, not the best directed kind of, or written moment to just say, let's cut it here. Yeah.
I guess that's just an artifact of the age of at-home streaming media.
It's how people watch and engage.
It really encourages that sort of binge mentality.
It's that FOMO that strengthens your desire to just
Stay up all
watch.
night.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, we know what's going to happen next, so no point doing a prediction segment.
We don't want to spoil it for anyone. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? Nah, we're running long this episode. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on our first spin-off series.
It's very exciting.
We'll be doing this probably through the end of May if we keep a good schedule.
Yeah.
Depending on how long season 3 is, which is dropping in March.
It's dropping in March.
Yeah.
Ooh, how exciting.
Yeah, so then we'll move on to something else.
Which I think we've already announced we're going to have the bracket.
Oh, I announced that we're going to do a March Madness bracket, and for this year, our bracket is going to be What Watch Next? And Nick and I are each going to prepare half the bracket. Don't know how big it'll be yet, but then we're going to argue, and I'm sure we'll eventually end up watching just about everything on it. But we'll be figuring out what we're doing next. Get at me on Twitter if you want me to include anything in particular.
Yeah. It'll obviously be a Patreon episode, will be that bracket.
True.
But, holy fuck, keen.
On the Patreon, Nick and I have also given ourselves till November to write our own JoJo fan fictions to read out on the Patreon.
Are we going to read them out in the most dramatic way possible?
Of course, yes. I have a concept for mine. I don't know whether to share it or to keep it a secret till November.
I say, are you going to come up with more concepts? Or is this the one you're definitely going to go with?
I really like the idea right now, though.
I mean, share it right now because I'm curious and you'll probably come up with something else and go, oh, I like this.
True. Okay, my concept for my Jojo Raimo fanfiction is Risotto Nero's Perfect Sunday.
Go on.
No.
Oh, that's just the concept.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. When you say Sunday, do you mean the day Sunday or the confectionery Sunday?
I did think that to myself just after I said it out loud just now. I do mean the day, but I might try and work that confectionery in there.
This is why we say our ideas out loud.
Please do try and come up with one of your own prior to...
Shall I announce a
prior
concept?
to November.
Shall I announce a concept next week?
Yeah,
just
sure.
to keep your tastes.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I like... What if every week we're like, my new concept is this? Oh my god, I love it. I love it so much. Do it.
I'll try.
Okay, excellent.
And until next time.
Do we still do it?
I guess so, unless we have anything else.
I guess it's our thing.
Don't fuck a go.
Until next time.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Arrivederci.